Let's discuss different playstyles. Thanks to Shaquille Oatmeal for the suggestion. In his comment, he talks about aggressive, passive, and passive-aggressive styles of play. Whilst that's a good generalization for weapon categories, for example, SMGs are aggressive, snipers are passive, it doesn't really help with how to practically use weapons. What I prefer to do is build a picture of weapon effectiveness based on situations. I look at the weapon's stats and gather an ideal scenario the weapon will excel in, and then aim to play to maximize the chances of that situation occurring. In my sniper guide, I do this, and early into the video to bring home the role of a sniper to the viewer, and each weapon guide I create has a gameplay section discussing its best use case. So first, I'll define broad categories for engagements and discuss the best stats to look for to succeed in these situations. Then I'll talk about how to play to maximize your success. I've identified 5 broad types of engagements: close quarters skirmishing, close quarters multi-killing, mid-range, mid-range cover, and long range. I'm defining close quarters as a distance up to 50 meters, mid-range 50 meters to 150, and long range above 150 meters. In close quarters combat, not many gun stats actually matter. A weapon's viability can be assessed based on its damage and rate of fire, which are combined into a time to kill stat. Every close range weapon's viability largely depends on having a competitive time to kill stat, as they massively help in outnumbered situations. A 200 vs 300 millisecond time to kill is not too relevant on a 1v1, as you can win in other ways, such as firing first, headshotting, leaning, or dropping to prone. But if you're in a 3v1 situation, you'd kill all 3 opponents in 600 milliseconds versus 900 milliseconds. Also, consider the fact that having a slower time to kill means a higher chance of you taking return damage even if you win the fight against the first opponent, making it much harder to survive against multiple quick fights back to back. This is a list of relevant stats for close quarters weapons. Time to kill, its reload time and uptime, movement speed, and kills per mag. Time to kill can be calculated with this formula. But don't worry, there are spreadsheets that have done all the work for you. The link is in the description. Uptime is simply how much time the weapon is shooting compared to reloading. Movement speed is linked to the type of weapon that you're using. For example, a PDW moves faster than an assault rifle. Number in game applies a multiplier to that value. So, a PDW with 110 movement speed will move you 10% faster than the base PDW move speed value. Kills per mag can be calculated by dividing the size of the mag by the bullets to kill. For example, comparing the MP7 and UMP, we can see that the UMP has a higher kills per mag stat, even though it has 25 bullets compared to 30. Despite being best up close, your gun's damage drop-off, velocity, recoil, and even the way you've built it with attachments limit its effective range. For mid-range gameplay, damage drop-off starts to worsen SMG's time to kill significantly, largely making them worse than assault rifles and carbines, which still deal full damage. Recoil starts to matter, particularly horizontal recoil. Horizontal recoil is the biggest factor in determining weapon viability at these ranges. How it works is, each shot, a random kick is applied, both vertically and horizontally, based on the weapon's recoil stats. Vertical will kick a random amount upwards, but horizontal has a chance of kicking either right or left, and by a random amount, making a high horizontal recoil gun behave very differently every time you shoot it. Having a great time to kill on paper doesn't matter if the gun misses its shots with horizontal drift, or if it needs to burst fire to maintain accuracy. So, mid-range weapons generally have a scale of time to kill versus effective range. The idea is, the further away you are, the more controllable slower weapons are, whereas the quicker ones will have high recoil and will miss shots, making them worse. At the closer end of mid-range, fast time to kill assault rifles such as the FAMAS and HK419 are at their best, but there's a scale of effectiveness for each rifle for the ranges they perform best at. This playstyle is where the worst time to kill guns see their bread and butter use. Assault rifles like the FAMAS and HK19 are great for the shorter end of mid-range, but begin to struggle if the opponent is 100 meters away and head peeking, as their recoil stats are too high and too random for you to stay on target. Guns such as DMRs and the AUG really shine here, where their low recoil allows them to deliver accurate bursts into people who are peeking with only their head exposed. For very long ranges, above 200 meters, DMRs and snipers reign supreme and will fight amongst each other only. I have made an in-depth sniper guide already, so I will link that in the comments and description as it goes into detail at how to succeed at these ranges. Certain guns want to be taken to different areas of the map, and not every gun is good for every map. For example, close range guns typically do better in urban areas with rooms and buildings to break lines of sight into ranges they excel in. Meanwhile, snipers are the opposite, doing less well in close range areas but are powerful on maps with open fields. Over time, you will understand the flow of maps more and know what fights each area of the map usually has. You need to know ways to position to get yourself into the areas where your weapon is advantaged. That can be via flanking, using smokes of C4 to advance safely, or simply switching squads to a squad that is occupying the right area of the map for you. It's not much good using an SMG if your squad is all sniping on a roof, or sniping when your squad is clearing rooms. I think of every gun on the game on a sliding scale of ranges where they are most effective, and all guns should be used aggressively when you place them at their best range. SMGs and PDWs occupy the bottom of the scale with good close range time to kills, but have artificial damage drop off that limits their range. Assault rifles are next, and then the longer assault rifles, who give way to DMRs, who ultimately give way to snipers as the only viable weapon at extreme range. I don't think most guns should be used for every map and situation. Having a roster of weapons that you like that covers each typical engagement is ideal, and correctly assessing a weapon's ideal use case and matching that with the correct gameplay situation when the map offers it should help you to play better. Thanks for watching.